This week's episode of Wine Wars is sponsored by Winc. If you are unfamiliar with Winc, it is a monthly wine club that is custom designed specifically for your palate. If you go to trywinc.com/wine wars, you answer a questionnaire that identifies the specific preferences that you have in your food and beverages, and they custom tailor their wines for you. To get free shipping and $20 off your first purchase from Winc, go to trywinc.com/wine wars. This week's episode of Wine Wars is sponsored by Audible. Audible is an audiobook subscription service that has over 425,000 audiobooks to choose from. Under the assumption that you could even listen to one audiobook a day, that would take you 1,164 years to listen to every single audiobook that they have to offer. And if you're going to start that journey, you might as well start it by going to audibletrial.com/wine wars to get a free audiobook and 30-day free trial of Audible. Wine Wars is also an affiliate of Amazon. If you'd like to help the show out at no additional cost to yourself, you can go to the support page on our website at winewarspodcast.com, click the Amazon hyperlink, and any purchases you make help support the show at no additional cost to yourself. Much appreciated, and enjoy today's show.
Previously on Wine Wars.
You know that line from Cable Guy when Janine Garofalo is working at Medieval Times and somebody asks her for a fork and she says there were no forks in Medieval Times?
Everybody quotes Cable Guy.
I've never seen it.
Therefore, there are no forks at Medieval Times. How am I just breaking this news to you?
No, I get it. He says it every time we drive past Medieval Times.
I know he does. Been 19 years. Bam!
Wine Wars, the show with four friends who love three things: wine and Star Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the four of us as we sniff, sip, and talk about wine. Live from our house here in Madison, Wisconsin, I am your excellent host and spectator. And with me as always tonight are Scott.
Hello, Anne. How are you?
Super. You?
Very, very good. Very excited for today.
Great. You made a great dinner. Thank you.
Oh, you are most welcome.
I like this pace. Let's keep this going. Yeah.
Amy.
Hey.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I broke the pace. No, I didn't. The tuna was awesome. Loved
How you
it.
doing?
I'm great. I love the salad. Love the tuna. Love no dishes.
Love the no dishes. Nice touch.
Yeah.
Jason.
I can't hear.
Yeah, what's going on with your head?
I don't know. I was flying to Dallas on Tuesday and my ear popped, and then it's been quiet ever since. What?
Oh, so you're just going to sit over there out of the loop the whole night?
Yeah.
So you've just been listening to your Beatles in mono.
Right. Exactly. That's a nerdy stereo.
Audio joke.
Mono. Audio joke.
No one's laughing in the whole world.
People at home are
I got
dying.
Baby boomers found that hilarious.
Surprise, listeners! It's not the four of us. We have a special guest tonight.
Yay!
Woo! Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad to have you.
This is really cool. It's nice to be on this end of the microphone.
Yeah.
To be interviewed rather than the interviewee.
Well, it's really nice to have somebody with like full-blown creds here in our house to talk about things and stuff and everything.
It feels like pressure.
No, I mean, no, you don't, you can't just talk about anatomy or whatever.
We can talk about anything.
Anything.
We don't even have to talk. We don't have to touch wine or Star Wars.
We
tonight.
can
gotta
talk about
touch
the
wine.
Dave Matthews wine. I mean, we could definitely do that.
Ooh, yeah, she called
I've
me out.
actually never had it, so
I have.
I don't think so.
Dreaming Tree?
I don't think.
Where you been?
It's just sitting there, but
Yeah.
It's aging.
Wait, what do you know about it?
It's in your rack.
Oh.
She was checking out your rack.
Boob joke.
And
we're
not the first
working on
time
doing
I heard that.
a Rockstar Wine episode with Dave Matthews and Train and
Tool.
Maynard.
Oh, you were going to I was going to do
that's
Zach
the
Brown.
actual good wine.
wore
Yeah.
that shirt today and I decided I wanted to show off my necklace instead.
If anyone does want good wine from a musician, Caduceus Cellars, what else is it? Arizona Stronghold is their wine from Arizona. Killer. We should do an episode on
Didn't
that.
we do an episode like early?
No.
No, you just brought it all back and we drank it without microphone.
Yeah, my parents brought
Why would we do
My
that?
parents brought a half case back from Jerome, Arizona, and that was before we had the pod. And their wines are all killer, so we'll do that some other time.
We made a fancy meal and we drank Jerome wines.
And they're all great.
That's probably why we're like, we should just do this in front of microphones.
And additionally, we can have excellent guests like Lindsay come and drink with us.
Lindsay, yes. Okay, so Lindsay, tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, okay. So I am currently a writer for the Capital Times. I've been there for 10 years and a couple of weeks. So
Wow.
yeah.
A decade in the press is like...
I know, right? It's like unheard of these days. Yeah, so I work at the Cap Times. I started writing about wine just a couple of months after I started because I had been working at Barrique's here in Madison. And Barrique's, for those who may not know, it started off as a wine shop in 1998. And then a few years later, they started adding coffee. And then, so I think now it's sort of more primarily known as a coffee shop than it is a wine store. But when I was there, it was still definitely, wine focused. And I was moving back to the Midwest from California, where I had just fallen in love with wine. And so I was working there, and so I continued to sort of pour tastings at Barrique's while I started at the Cap Times. And I would write about wine, and I had to have a little disclaimer at the end of every column, like Lindsay Christians occasionally pours wine tastings at Barrique's, because that would I don't know, bias me in some way.
Right,
transparency, everybody. Like Barrique's is mentioned nowhere in this except for now, which seems like an endorsement that it really wasn't. Anyway,
Collusion.
Right. So, but it was really fun, and I writing about wine is actually how I continued to learn about it once I was back in the Midwest. So, yeah.
It's a really good way to explore it because you have to come up with tangible things to say about it.
Yeah.
So it's and then it's documented, right?
Right, exactly. So and whenever I would pour those tastings at Barrique's, I would do the wine notes for them every week. And I was pouring once a week, and I was usually Friday or Saturday. And I would have to do all this research about the wines and, find out about them. And we would, Syrah night. And so I'm learning all about the different places where Syrah comes from, or and we would do occasional blind tastings, and it's just fully humbling, right? Wines that I'd had 2, 3, 4 times could not identify blind. So, but it was really great because I feel like it sort of forced me to do that applied kind of research into wine. But yeah, so that's what I do. I'm a food and wine writer.
And when you were in California, did you do any wine there of significance?
Yeah.
And what part of California?
Actually, I would love to, maybe we start with the rosé.
I think so
This
too.
rosé.
Let's pour some damn wine.
So, and we can kind of start there. So the rosé that I brought for you guys tonight is from a winery called Claiborne and Churchill. And it is located in San Luis Obispo County.
Thank you.
We moved to San Luis Obispo, my husband and I did, right after we got married in 2003. And
that's like heaven right here on earth, right?
It was amazing. It's so beautiful every day that your Midwestern brain can't process it.
You're
It's
like,
another
too
nice
much
day.
sunshine
It's
and
another
blue
nice day.
skies and green grass and
Yeah. And to be fair, San Luis, it's very much a Mediterranean climate, so it's more like brown grass.
Oh, okay.
But there's mountains everywhere, and I'm from Ohio. I never got used to the mountains. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was 3 years we were out there, and I never got used to it. But I kind of left. I went to school in Michigan, which is where I met my husband. And when we moved out there, I thought that all alcohol tasted bad, and the best thing to do was to just conceal it as much as possible. So
conceal it.
Yeah. So open up your Dole juice, have a sip or two, pour in Popov vodka, whatever, is left in there, and then shake it a little bit, and there is your alcohol, right? And it doesn't taste like alcohol because you've concealed it. And I was like, that was all I was willing, maybe a mimosa. That's all I was willing to do. So I did not really drink in college too much.
My roommate in college, we got him drinking Snapples. So it was Zima mixed with Snapple. So it was a unique alcoholic beverage made from the best stuff on earth.
Zima was a big thing with the Jolly Ranchers in it to make it colors.
Yes, I remember that.
And yeah, I think we my first alcohol experience was Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I had one when I was I don't even know 20. And I was just like, what? This stuff is crazy. So I moved out to California, and we went to San Francisco on our honeymoon, and we went up to Sonoma for one day, and I'd never been wine tasting before. And I thought, what is this?
Was he into wine?
No,
Oh.
he was 24.
So you just went
he
to
did not know
Sonoma.
anything about anything.
You just went there because that's what you do
Yeah,
in
well,
this.
yeah.
in the
So
area.
we would gone to San Francisco for a week, and we decided to take our last day and just drive up and go to wineries. And my husband got really excited about the winery cats.
Oh, for sure.
We
Yeah.
have so many winery cats.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun, and people. It was like, I don't know, some kind of big event that they were having that weekend, and there was like music in the wineries, and it was just it was lovely, and people were so nice, and I just had a great time. And so when we moved back to San Luis Obispo, we started doing we met people who were into wine, and we met people who worked in wine, and we started doing tastings. And by the time we were about ready to move back to the Midwest, we were going wine tasting every other weekend. So, and I was crossing off the places on my little map of Paso Robles, doing the whole completist thing. It was really fun, and I just nerded out fully.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was really fun. Yeah.
It's a good place to get into it and nerd out.
So, but this winery in particular, so this is Claiborne and Churchill. They are, so the two people, Clay and Frederica, who founded it, are actually from Michigan.
Oh,
Right?
I
Oh, really?
see. I
So-
get it.
But they went to the University of Michigan. We were Michigan State, so, not quite the same. But they founded this winery, I want to say in 1981. I feel like they founded it the year that I was
Isn't
born.
that when you were born?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why I remember it. But this is a rosé of Pinot Noir. The artwork on the label was actually drawn by their daughter Elizabeth, so it's named for her.
Cool.
My husband and I were actually back in California in the area in 2016, and we ran into Elizabeth, who is now a full adult, working for her parents' winery. And doing sales and stuff in the area. I think she does some direct sales too stuff. But we met Elizabeth. We've been buying a case of this wine, this rosé, every year for years.
Crazy.
And so it was kind of amazing to be like, Elizabeth, hi, great to see you.
I know you from the bottle.
I know you from the bottle. But so Pinot Noir is kind of what I first fell in love with in the Central Coast, and this is a beautiful rosé Pinot Noir. The first bottle of wine I ever drank all by myself. That's not rosé. It's a beautiful wine.
Did you find this locally, or is it hard to get?
It is not available locally.
So you have to be in their wine club. And
So we've been in the wine club. I mean, off and on, we kind of went off the wine club when I was in graduate school because
Sure.
money's a thing. But we got back on as soon as we were sort of gainfully employed again. And
can I see
So
the
this
bottle?
is a 2017 Edna Valley.
so this is the
rosé.
current vintage. We will be buying, I think, a half case this year, probably.
Oh, this is so nice of you to
So-
share it with
Yeah,
us. Thank
absolutely.
you.
And so it actually says it's a cuvée on there. And I was reading the back of it. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
So it's a blend, right?
Yeah.
So they do a lot they do have some estate grown stuff, but they've been buying a lot of grapes, I think, or actually for a while now. But all of the grapes in this come from the Edna Valley. They have a little vineyard so they have the winery itself is a straw bale winery. So it's always cool in there, which is lovely. It's made of, it has walls, but underneath it is straw bale. And they have
Crazy.
this lovely vineyard that's right there on site. And they'll make tiny, tiny batches of wine from that little vineyard, and they mess around with it and have fun. But yeah, so they probably bought some of these grapes from just their neighbors in the Edna Valley, and they do a blend of Pinot. They are known for their Alsatian style whites. So lovely Riesling, just gorgeous. They do Gewürztraminer that will blow your mind. It's like a flower garden in a bottle. So we have a lot of their whites. We also have been sort of putting together some verticals of some of their really vineyard specific Pinot Noirs. And we'll do that vertical someday.
Have we done vertical as a wine word du jour?
We have
We're
not.
that's gonna be my splurge episode. So stay tuned.
Okay.
So, but do you want to explain what a vertical is?
Do you want to say what a...
Jason's all about the
I mean,
verticals.
verticals are amazing, and I find them to be life-changing. We did a 10-year vertical of a Donhoff Riesling,
Whoa.
and
drunky drunk.
it was
times.
cool, so amazing. But so you can tell year by year how things change when you do a vertical like that.
So a vertical meaning at least 3 in a row simultaneous years.
Right, consecutive years.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think the key thing with a vertical is that the only thing changing in the wine is the year,
Yeah.
right?
Well, same grape, same
Winemaker.
specific type
Winemaker.
of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually if it's a vineyard specific, like a vineyard designate, then it would be 3 in a row. We have friends of ours have this subscription to White Rose in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. And White Rose does these fun releases every year where it's like 4 bottles of the exact same Pinot made in the exact same way, except the oak is different on all 4. So it's like Hungarian, American.
I would love that.
French oak.
Really cool.
Russian oak. It was fascinating.
Crazy.
And
That
you would
is
not
such
believe.
a wine nerd's thing to do, and I want it.
Yes, it's so cool. So White Rose, they're so awesome. And then they did another one where it was like, so they do a lot with Pinot Noir. They did like a 25% whole cluster. So like whole cluster meaning like the entire like grape, skin, stem, whole cluster.
Bees, bugs, all of it.
I don't. Yeah,
Sometimes
maybe.
they get in there.
I believe you, but
It
I didn't want to
happens.
think about it. Protein. But yeah, but they did one that was like 20% whole cluster, and then 50% whole cluster, and then like 100% whole cluster, and you're just like chewing the wine, and it's just great. Like, but it's something. Some small thing is different every year,
And that's a really,
I love that.
well, as you say, and a wine nerdy thing to do, but that kind of highlights the uniqueness that you can find in wines and why wine can be so intimidating.
Right.
But if people are listening or kind of starting their wine journey, if you can find something like that where you can do a vertical with someone who has been in the wine game for quite a while and has those to share, or has like, here's the same thing, different oak, that's a great way to get that under your belt of really the differences in texture, in flavor, in mouthfeel, in all of those different aspects of what makes wine in a very unique way.
And you got to hope that the winemaker hasn't changed over those years.
Sure.
Like you're looking for 3 years of the same winemaker, same plot of land, same grape.
It's a lot easier to find when you're in wine country,
Yeah.
obviously. Or if you develop a relationship. I know I was listening to previous podcasts, and some of you guys have subscriptions to wine clubs. That's how you build verticals. You join wine clubs, and you just leave them alone. So there have been a couple wine clubs. We joined one on that trip to California I talked about called Pence, which is down in the Santa Rita Hills area.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
And they're, I wouldn't join a club that's distributed to the Madison area because why? But if
Right.
but especially if you're finding something that's like really small production, but you join that club for a few years and the verticals just happen and it's fun. So a couple of my friends are leaving town, and we've been doing some verticals just to sort of enjoy them, while we can, which is great. And then there's less wine for them to move.
Oh, you're doing them a big favor.
Yeah, really helping them
We're
out.
so helpful.
So
We've never been in a wine club. Like I've never been in a wine club at all.
How has that even happened?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm just
Can I put in a plug for something?
sure.
Vinfluence. Vinfluence. So Vinfluence is this awesome thing, and it was started by a friend of a friend. I think she came out of tech, but she had this idea to basically, it's like a wine club that moves around. So they're like the current for June. I think the winery is called Keep Vineyards, and I think, but they're doing some just really cool stuff. Like they had some fun whites and like reds that like you don't normally see in California. Some unusual grapes. And of course, I'm blanking on them right now because I am. But it's called Vinfluence. And the way that it works is so like every month is a different, really small winery that doesn't have very much distribution in the rest of the country. They've mostly been on the West Coast because that's kind of where she's been focusing. But it's 3 to 4 wines. The price is always about the same. And it's like if you were ever to go out there, it would be like you were a member of their club and you would get all the club benefits. But you just get these little tiny wineries. And it's the best, like of all the wine subscription things, and I've tried several of them, this is my favorite. I love Influence. And it's a great way to get started because you get to know the literature is great.
Is she here in Madison?
So she is actually, I think she's based in New York, but she grew up in Wisconsin. So she's got family in the Greenberry area. So.
Well, she should
Interesting.
come here over a holiday.
Her name's Shannon. She's delightful.
Okay.
Shannon, come on the podcast. This wine is killer.
Yeah.
Isn't this good?
Yeah. We were drinking it with dinner, and you can kind of tell Pinot Noir rosés, but there was some like sparkle to it that I was like, that seems a little off. And then I read like, oh, there's Riesling and Gewürztraminer in there, and it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, I
as
guess I
to
didn't
why.
mention that, did I?
Yeah. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Can you mention the when you say you can tell it's a Pinot Noir rosé, can you maybe extrapolate on that?
I'm terrible at describing what I smell, but it's almost like what's that?
Toe jam.
Cotton candy.
Close.
Wow, you are really
peanuts.
Oh,
Peanuts.
circus peanuts.
Circus
Oh, yeah. Okay.
For me, I feel like this wine most closely evokes like just like green strawberries. I get a lot of like strawberry with Pinot Noir, and this has like the kind of greenness, so it's a little bit underripe. And I also I really love like it. For me, it's very much about sunshine. And when the first time I opened this for friends of ours, my one friend was like, "Oh, this is what you mean. This is sunshine." And I was like, yeah, this is California sunshine. That's what this is.
I was surprised that by the color, especially now that you're telling me that there's Gewürz in it. And what's the other one?
Riesling.
Dry Riesling.
Riesling.
Oh,
And I think it's fairly
very,
small amounts of it.
Yeah.
It is strawberry pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I always find that I think that I like paler, cleaner looking rosés. And I would think that a Pinot Noir being a soft grape and then 2 whites in it, it wouldn't be this bright pink.
Right.
And I love it.
Like
Yeah.
if I have tasted a lot of wines this color that were like
Too sweet.
way too sweet, but this is so not in that category at all. So the color is like it's just kind of a trip how intense and bright and happy it is. But it matches the flavor of the wine. You know, it's like pink sunshine.
It is. It really is. And this is, I mean, these are the cuvée, the blend of this changes every year. So sometimes it's got some white grapes in it. Sometimes it doesn't. I used to think of it sort of like as almost like a field blend rosé. But they do, like they make a beautiful rosé every single year. And I'm always excited for it. One of the things I love about rosé is that year to year, it changes so much. Like, and it's, if you really want to start learning about vintages, like rosé is the way to do it. Like I used to especially a few years ago in Madison where there weren't quite as many rosés as there are now, I would be like, I am going to taste every rosé that's distributed to Madison this summer. And I would go and I would do like a couple of tastings at wine shops. So I do like the 10-bottle tasting at Barrique's and I do like the 8-bottle tasting at Andrea's or whatever. And I would go and I would just like try to find, or maybe Andrea's wasn't even around at that point, but like I would just try to taste as many rosés as I physically could, and I'd be amazed. Like something that was like a steal at $11 the year before would be just undrinkably bad. And you don't. And for me, I just am like, well, and I started to find like certain producers that were really consistent.
Yeah.
But
And that's what scares me too when you do that sort of thing. Is like, am I getting more snobby about like
Right.
that
About
used
your
to be
rosé?
good? Is it the vintage now,
Well,
or is it that I have just grown up a little bit?
I don't think it's being snobby to just grow into other things. I mean, like maybe the kind of clothes that you wore when you were 16 aren't going to be the things that you're wearing now.
You've put on a few pounds.
You
is
can
what
see
she's
my
saying.
butt.
No.
Jason's been wearing Converse since he came out of the womb.
It's true.
Okay. Well, aside from that, like, I don't know. I just think that like,
Taste buds,
it's nice to have room to grow, and you shouldn't have to attach a negative adjective to it like snobby. Just
Right.
like, no, my tastes have just changed.
I like what Amy's saying.
I wonder your thoughts on this, Lindsay. So with rosé, perhaps there's less room to hide the mistakes, where with red wine you can dump a bunch of oak on it, right? And hide it that way. White wines, hey, add a bunch of sugar. And rosé is the middle ground. And if, like you said, vintage is so specific of what happened weather-wise in the vineyard that year.
I also think that rosé can sometimes be an afterthought because people are trying to concentrate their reds, and so they make a rosé by pulling off some of the juice.
Right.
And I see that, I hear that. It's been really encouraging as we've gone on some wine trips in recent years to just hear more people being like, no, we grow these grapes to make a rosé.
Yeah.
Like we are doing this on purpose. And we're making choices in the vineyard because there's 1,000 choices, right?
Yeah.
Between the soil and the glass, there's so many choices. And so that's interesting. Rosé is also a really great example of a learning curve for me. When I was a young learner about wine, I figured out that rosé was made by, taking the juice from a red grape and you leave it on the skins for a few minutes, hours, days, whatever, and then you pull it off and you have rosé, right? You ferment a rosé. But there are lots of ways to make rosé. There's free run rosé where like you're shaking the grapes around and then you just whatever juice happens to come off, that's your rosé. There are rosés that are legitimately blends of red and white wine. And that's how they're made. And so it was a great example, I think, for me of being like everything I think that I know, I now question. Like I don't make any broad assumptions with wine anymore, I don't think. I still have not had a white Zinfandel that was good, but that does not mean that it doesn't exist.
Right.
Right? It could be out there. My friend Bob says that they exist. I just, again, haven't had one.
That's a great kind of mindset with the world of wine, because we were kind of talking over dinner. You said, when you start out with drinking wine, you're like, I hate Chardonnay. And someone will be like, because they taste a super oaked, buttery Chard, and it just throws them off of that grape. And we've talked about this a bunch on the show, that don't blame the phrase is don't blame the grape. A friend of ours owns a wine bistro called Wine Maniacs, and that's his phrase of don't blame Chardonnay because you had a bad Chardonnay. Blame the winemaker. They fucked it up.
When just the other day we were at a wine shop and I overheard another customer say, "Oh, I can't stand Chardonnay," and I almost ran after them.
We were at L'Etoile.
Oh yeah,
we went to L'Etoile for our anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We were having our meal and we were doing the wine pairings and having a blast. And this gal sat down next to us with her, and my mental thought was like, she's a gold digger, like taking this guy for everything.
I think that they were married, but not to each other.
Hey,
that could have been. And she had like kind of
maybe they were poly. You don't know.
That's true.
That's true.
It is Madison.
It is Madison.
Yeah.
But she was kind of had a rockabilly chick vibe, and like she
I don't know what that means.
Kind of like tattooy, like 50s clothes,
Like
red.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was I going? Oh, but she spent like a half hour reading through the
Well,
wine
now describe
menu.
the guy in exact
like
detail.
middle-aged balding.
Yeah, we already knew.
But she read through the wine menu, read through air quotes, and like started to describe the difference. And this is Wine Snob Scott, where she's like, Puy Fusé,
Yeah.
Southern Burgundy, Chardonnay. And she's like, the difference between Puy Fusé and Puy Fumé is that they use more oak and Fusé. I'm like,
They're two different grapes.
I'm like,
Yeah, one Sauvignon Blanc.
I just wanted to take my
I
fork.
know. So it was so hard for us to just keep our mouths shut.
And like she's
not
trying to
ruin
talk
their
like she
dinner.
knows shit to this guy.
So
Scott and I just like,
I think the goal of her conversation, though, was not really anything to do with wine.
Oh, hers? No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think that description of the wine got her what she wanted out of that night. You know what I'm saying?
Which was a free bottle of wine.
Expensive wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're at L'Etoile, you let Stephen and Michael do their work.
Yes.
You just let them do their work. So James, who is the wine guy over at Casetta Kitchen, he's amazing. So he was a sommelier over at L'Etoile for a while, and he and his friend Tommy went and opened Casetta, which is here in Madison, lovely little deli, and it's like the best weirdest wine list ever. Like it's fabulous. So, but I interviewed him. I was talking to him because a young sommelier, like this is interesting. How did you come to this? And I said, the thing that I really want to know is when you have a situation where you've got a table being like, I want white Burgundy and I hate Chardonnay, and please bring me. And I think, what do you say? And he said, we try to get them where they want to go. Like you try to get them exactly what they're really asking for, something that will make them happy. And I just thought I feel like he had this wonderful sort of magnanimous way of dealing with people.
I have to
really
tell you
great.
that the more experienced the person is in wine, the more I have found them to be that way. The less snobby they are, the
Right.
more
Not
they
snot, yeah.
they don't need to be right.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
what we learned on our first trip to Napa was 2007, and we went with a sommelier, and then he knew everyone we met with, and I felt very intimidated because we were so new to it all, and I couldn't believe how accepting, encouraging, non-snobby the whole thing is, which is a lesson in all things, isn't it? Like the better you are at something, the less you have to say that you are.
Well, it's like, black belt martial artists. Like, I know this just in the off chance I actually need it. I'm not going to brag that I can kick everyone's ass
Right,
in the
or what
room,
color my
right?
belt is.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
So
I have a lot
be
of
cool.
Yeah, I have a lot of I've had a lot of frustration over the years of this sort of this inclination to make wine either lowbrow or highbrow. Like it's either super elite. I only drink like aged Burgundies and beautiful Barolo from 1979, or all wine tastes the same anyway. Who even cares?
Right.
I'm going to drink 3 Buck Chuck. There's a lot of middle ground. Wine doesn't need to be elitist, but it can be complicated, and that's okay. Sometimes really rewarding things are a little complicated or a little bit nuanced, or they open themselves up to things like subtlety and further study. And I think wine can be that way. It doesn't need to be, well, it's just food, or spend hundreds of dollars on this bottle. It can be all of those things, but I find much more sort of fruitful, interesting engagement in that middle.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's where
Love
the
that.
that's the zone you want to be in.
Plus, I can't afford to be that snobby. So I have to be good at the middle part.
So speaking of zones we want to be in, do we want to be in the bubble zone?
Oh,
You guys, I was just gonna point out my glass is empty.
yeah.
So
I'm going to say something while you open that sucker
Okay.
up. The rosé that we were having, we had Scott made us a beautiful tuna steak.
Oh,
But it was very peppery and spicy. And I thought that rosé was really nice
why I
in
did it.
balancing that.
Like coriander and
Yeah.
pepper crust.
coriander,
Yeah.
and you just make a coating of that on one side.
My acid reflux is like,
I know.
kill me.
But because you were bringing the rosé, I did that, and then and the Beaujolais is why I did the mushrooms. But we'll get to the Beaujolais later. So what are we
Foreshadowing.
pouring next?
So this is Louis de Grenelle. It's a 100% Cabernet Franc. It is pink
a Cabernet
bubbles.
Franc sparkling.
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
So-
pink bubbles.
We actually bought a magnum of this about a year
Well, I
and a
don't
half
see it.
ago.
Pretty.
And we opened it this year for my birthday.
Oh.
And my husband got to like open a magnum, and he was very excited. But this pitch is, I want to make a pitch for pink bubbles on a couple of levels. So the magnum thing, having a magnum in your cellar is just having it there. Just get one and like sit on it for a couple of years, and whenever you're feeling like my life's not going so well, you can think to yourself, I have a magnum in my cellar, right?
I love this argument.
Always got that Magnum.
And it's always there for you. It's just waiting for the occasion when you're going to open a magnum, which means that you will be drinking amazing wine with friends.
Yes.
Because nobody drinks a
not.
magnum on their own. I mean, maybe you do. But
We can polish this off together.
right,
We can do it.
We can do
With
it.
somebody.
It's one bottle each. So where's this from?
So
Your house.
this is from, I think this is from Loire, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
couldn't find out. on
Did you say
the-
from Hawaii?
That would make sense. Loire. Yeah.
Yeah, Loire. This is from Loire.
It would make sense, Cab Franc.
100% Cabernet Franc from Loire. It is like physically, the Magnum that I got was from Square Wine Company in Madison, and this bottle is from Cork and Bottle on East Johnson Street, where the marvelous Bob Haymauer is the proprietor, and he's awesome. But it's easily available. This is like a wine you can find a lot. My name is Lindsay, and there's a beautiful L on the bottle, which always draws the eye.
Sure.
Louis
But-
de Grenelle.
I've had many sort of like my birthday celebrations over the years, like they've taken on a theme, and like pink bubbles is usually it. But so the other thing, so yes, have a Magnum in your cellar for just peace of mind and happiness. And the other thing about this is that when people see pink bubbles, they don't anticipate this. This is a more sort of complex, interesting, like it's got a little bit of salmon color. It's beautiful, and it's light and delightful. And I feel like it's not still what people anticipate when they see pink bubbles in a bottle.
No. I think most people would think like sweet or like over the top fruit. And there's some flavor in here I cannot pinpoint, but I'm really intrigued by. It's really different. And maybe it's because I'm sitting by pine needles, but I'm thinking pine needles. I don't know.
It definitely has some herbal
Yeah.
That's what
business
it is.
happening.
Like menthol-y.
Yeah. But I mean, but also like it is kind of fruit forward. It does have that kind of lemon pith that I love, or the lemon peel that I love in like a nice bright bubble. And I love champagne, but this is what I buy when I want it, and I can't really afford it.
What is this? Because this, I think, is equivalently good, right? What's the price tag on something
This is $20.
That's
Wow.
great.
Now, that's a steal.
Yup. And the Magnum, I think, was like 40-ish or something.
That's awesome.
If this is 100% Cab Franc, could you do a vertical of this?
No, well, so this is
not
non-vintage.
Oh, I
That's the problem
understand
with
now.
Champagne and
Right,
bubbles.
because it's multiple vintages usually,
Yep.
not always.
Yep. You can have a vintage bubble wine, but it's pretty rare.
Right.
You can. We've got some soda soda from the Willamette Valley that we've got a couple. I think we've got more than
from
one vintage.
Willamette. Interesting.
Yeah. So I seek out bubbles wherever I go. But
So how did you get from rosé to bubbles in your wine journey?
Oh, it's a good question. I never actually liked bubbles years ago. I just didn't like them. And then we were given like wine flutes for our wedding, and I was like, I'm never gonna use these. Whatever. Like, thanks everybody, but no thanks. And then we started like hosting things. And I don't know. It was like little bit by little bit. I started thinking like, oh my goodness. And now I'm like Emily and I are like neck and neck with our love of bubbles. Like, really into it. One of the most wonderful bubbles experiences I had actually came when my dear friend David, who recently got married, congratulations, David, brought a bottle of wine over, a sparkling wine that had not been disgorged, like had not been, so the yeast cap was still in there.
Cool.
So you had to store it upside down.
On purpose? They sell it that way?
Yeah, they do.
Huh.
I don't remember the name of it. It's been a few years, and we'd been drinking by the time we opened it. But so basically, what he did is he was like in the middle of my living room. We had just like got a big old bucket of water, and he like popped the cork. The yeast cap shot out into the water, and then we were all like right there with our wine glasses. It's sort of similar to sabering. Like, you got to have your wine glass right there.
Yeah.
Like, just because the bubbles are coming right now.
So did it have like a bottle cap on it?
Well, that's a good question. I think it might have actually.
Yeah. Okay.
And he just popped it, and it shot out into the water, and it was very exciting.
It sounds very exciting.
So is the yeast it's all just like
Dead.
yeah.
Don't you want to
But-
like know what it'd be like to put that in your mouth and chew it?
The yeast?
I do.
Maybe. You freaked out our guest.
That sounds so gross.
But I bet it's like gummy. That's like my favorite texture.
There's only one way to find out, Anne.
We got to get one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
we
it.
got to find out what this wine was.
So normally in the winemaking, in bubbles process, you degorge, as Lindsay says, and that removes so you put yeast in the bottle, add a little more sugar, so the second fermentation occurs in the bottle. You degorge, take the dead yeast out, and then you kind of top it off a little bit, and then you cork it.
Is that dosage?
Dosage, yep. So that's really interesting that they said, leave the yeast in. So do they ship it upside down? Like, that's crazy.
Yup. It seems like a pain in the butt, like maybe not worth it, but they did it. And David used to work in distribution, and so he would come across these wines, and gosh, he had some weird stuff. Oh, it was a couple of years ago, he had this bottle of Maryland Merlot. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
I have heard of that.
And like I don't know if as you drink it or you like pull the label away and she like becomes unclosed. It was he came up with ridiculous stuff when he was doing distribution. He'd be like, yeah, I just found this. And sometimes it would be great, and sometimes we'd be like, oh, that's been corked for a while.
Yeah.
But you don't know. Kind of a game. But yeah, so I got into bubbles, I think, a little while after the rosé thing.
So how was that wine that you degorged on site?
Oh, it was good, but like the experience of it was so exciting that it couldn't have been less than great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
One of the things I've also learned about wine is that the people and the place and the food and how you feel, it has so much to do with your experience.
Yeah.
My favorite wine in the world was this wine called L'Aventure Optimus, and it's a blend, sort of one of the Rhone Rangers up in Paso Robles. And they do co-fermentation. So they put all the grapes together in one big, so the blend is fermenting all together. And they do these beautiful, huge red wines, like $100 a bottle, I think most of them.
Wow.
And the first time we went and tasted their wines, I thought, oh my God, like this is not even the same thing that I've ever had before. This is amazing. And I would go back to it. Like I would have some of these wines later, and they're good, they're fine. But I never had that experience again.
Yeah.
Of like, I was wine tasting and it was a gorgeous day, and I was with my like really good friend and my husband, and we were having just this beautiful day of tasting, and those things play into it. And also knowing that it was expensive and special. It was all, you know. And
It
I still,
definitely plays a bigger part than you want it to play.
The price tag?
No, just the entire
experience.
experience.
Oh, yeah.
You're
All of it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like you want it, but you don't expect. You expect to recreate the experience. Oh, I had this amazing
Right.
thing. I'm going to buy the wine and bring it home, it's going to be
right.
different.
It's going to be different. And if you can remember where you were and what you were doing, and sometimes it's actually surprising. My friends brought over a bottle of a Dragonette Syrah, Dragonette from the Santa Rita Hills area of California. Just a beautiful, like red fruit forward Syrah, just gorgeous. And I don't know what it was, but I had a sip of it and I got really emotional. Like I kind of wanted to cry.
Oh.
And I was like, this is California in a glass. And it was just, and I remembered being 22 and it was sort of an emotional experience I didn't expect. And I think wine can do that sometimes too. Take you by surprise.
Yeah, and like you said, wine is very much a communal thing. You can, obviously, sure, you can drink it alone, but the best, in my experience, I'm speaking for myself, the best enjoyment you get out of is when you bring it to a party with your friends and say, here's this bonkers thing I found, and let's degorge this together. And then it's a big event, right? And then, like you said, it can't not be great because you all did that together, and it's something that you're not going to be able to recreate again. So it's a once in a lifetime type thing.
And that's generally why a Magnum's a party, because you're pulling it out for an event, and it's
right.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, if you ever brought a wine you really wanted to talk about or share with a group of people, and then it ends up fourth in the rotation and nobody's fucking paying attention by then, everyone's just downing your wine. You're like, I wanted to tell you something about. There's a reason.
My friend Steve made that.
There was a story.
Everyone's eating Doritos and your wine. You're like, no.
I have learned I have got a rack upstairs that is specifically there because I've been burned before. When I was in graduate school, we would have friends come over, and then friends of friends came over, and I don't know. I remember she was from another country, and I feel like it was somewhere in the Russian diaspora, and she did this thing with Coke and red wine, and she had this lovely.
She's like,
I was so
Different Coke.
Coca-Cola, but it was this lovely Rhone thing that I think it was from a Gigonda
no.
or something, and I'd run out of cheap red, and for me a $20 Rhone at the time was
Sure.
Right.
Still, that's
yes,
an investment.
Thank you. Yes, still. Yeah. I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
But truly, I was just sort of this will never happen to me again.
Yeah.
This will never happen to me again. I will always be prepared. And we decided a couple of years ago that our house will be the house where the wine never runs out. The wine will never run out.
What a good goal.
Aww.
So you can stay as long as you like. The wine will never run out. But I have to have those bottles of no one's paying attention anymore. They're all eating Doritos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You were looking at our
that's
wine
the top
rack,
shelf.
and we do have it organized that way. That we tell people.
Yeah, 07 Charles Shaw Syrah.
Yeah,
I'll
maybe.
tell you what.
We
though.
just decant it.
That's good.
They're
No one ever
getting
knows.
better and better.
Oh, I'm sure.
We should open up one right now.
Whatever.
Or no.
Agreed.
But yeah, I totally.
I have a vertical of Charles Shaw.
I sympathize so much with that situation because, I can't even imagine if somebody was like, "Hey, let's make sangria," and they use one of the bottles that we brought home from Sonoma. I'd just be like, "Want to murder now?"
Right. Right.
No, that's when you go to the grocery store and you get something for $6
This is when you
or
buy
less.
barefoot.
Yeah.
Slap the bag.
The
Make some
opposite
sangria.
happens too.
Chino slapped the bag.
I do slap the bag.
You are getting a bind. You're like, oh, I just stopped at the grocery and bought this thing, and it's what they had. And then you get to and they're like, oh, Anne, you know wine. Tell us about this. Well, the Hy-Vee offers this on the middle shelf for $8.99.
Have you guys all noticed that when you're not with each other, you are the wine expert in the room?
Yes.
It's kind of weird for me.
Oh, it's always weird. It's always weird. And I always feel people will be even now, they'll be oh, I'm going to this restaurant in Chicago. What wine should I get? Here's the wine list. And I'm like, so what I'm going to tell you is to talk to their sommelier.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
they know more about this list than I do.
Right.
Obviously. And I don't know what you're ordering. And I don't believe in wine pairing generally.
Oh my gosh, can I please tell a story? So
No.
they're
Not on a podcast.
all right.
Agreed.
Never mind. No, Literally. So like we were in St. Paul and there was this place famous for pasta, but I'm not going to name pasta bar names, but there was a server there.
My favorite restaurant ever.
Your favorite restaurant ever.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, so they're closed?
they reopened.
Cool.
Anyways.
What's the name of it?
Well, it was
Loring
Loring
Pasta Bar.
But we're not naming names.
Why not?
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, our server there he almost flat out refused to serve me red wine with my fish because he's like, no, you have to have white wine with that.
Do not second guess me. Don't do it.
And
That's
I
so
was like,
obnoxious.
I know that you have this wine that I love on the menu. That's what I want to have with my
Server
meal.
splaining.
Yeah. I had to
Server
argue
splaining.
with this guy. Anyway, it happened a long time ago and he's probably not there, but I remember being very annoyed.
The well-known chef Thomas Keller said, "You drink the wine you want to drink with the food you want to eat. That's what you do."
That's your quote to live by.
Yeah.
Right? Well, because think about it. If you want to eat ceviche, you probably don't want to drink Zinfandel. You probably want to drink like Muscadet or, a lovely Sauv Blanc or Albarino for that matter. But you don't if you're going to have, you can try to like make pairings that you think make sense if you want. But my goodness, all this stuff around it is nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been shocked in what somebody can pair with food that should not work at all. That is incorrect, but it works awesome.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Champagne and Oreos.
So it is sort of bullshit, but there are good
Trust.
rules.
I
Champagne
should trust
and what?
Oreos.
Oh, God. Granted, champagne and everything, but like champagne and Oreos works. But I like champagne and popcorn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I can live on
Yeah,
that.
bubbles and popcorn. But champagne goes with everything. But like, it's like the cheat wine. But truly, like I don't believe in pairings. And if you're
really
feeling
funny.
something
A
like
food critic.
yeah, I just don't. I think it's
I do believe in pairings when
done right.
there's a chef and a sommelier who are thinking about it together.
oh
That's
no.
when I believe in pairings.
I believe in so I should clarify. I mean, if a sommelier is like having fun with his list and like putting stuff together, sure, cool. Yeah. Just don't worry about it. Like
Yeah.
don't be
Right.
like, there's only white wine with fish. Like,
Yeah, it's when the server is arguing with the person paying for
Right.
the food.
Right.
Like, no, don't do that.
that is inappropriate.
right.
That's
Back to what you said about the woman who's like, I want white Burgundy, but I hate Chardonnay. Like,
Yes.
you just got to work with them.
You
Get
gotta
them
work
something
with
they
that.
like, and they enjoy the meal because it is the experience
Absolutely.
as much, if not more, than the wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of wine, this is killer.
I really like this wine. It's accessible. It's around, and I feel like it's getting a little bit on the warm side right now, but
Yeah.
like it is super lovely and refreshing in the summer.
Yeah.
We
It
drink a
makes
lot of
me
rosé in
want to
summer.
like. It's very feminine, girly. I like want a cupcake with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
That sounds great.
I just
Doesn't
keep,
it?
I keep picking up like this herbal, like under or overtone, which I love. It makes me like, I don't know. It just makes me think of like gardening and then taking a break and having a glass of this while I look at everything that I've achieved.
what Ann and I were in Loire for one night, and the wine you drink is. I'm a big fan of Cab Franc, so it's like, all right, the home of Cab Franc right here in Loire. We didn't drink a ton of Loires in Loire, but we did get a. I mean, we probably tried 7 or 8 bottles with a bunch of people, though.
Wineries? No.
No, we didn't get to. Well, did we? We didn't go to any wineries. We went to castles.
Yeah, it was one night. So because we went from Champagne to Bordeaux, so we were
And
passing
we
through
went
Loire. It was
through
like
Loire.
a dream trip.
Yeah, except it rained the entire drive from Paris to Loire. It was just a like torrential downpour for the whole drive.
It
We
wasn't
ended
the
up in this,
romantic
like-
drizzle.
No.
You could have told us that and painted a lot prettier
I
of
know.
a picture.
But then we did get there and drink.
It wouldn't have
whole
been
bunch of
accurate
Loire
reporting.
No.
We were in a bar, and we
Integrity.
were like 8 Americans in a bar drinking a lot. But
We were very entertaining to the city of Loire.
we were loud, but I was a little nervous
The
about
valley of
being,
Loire.
too American. But then I can speak a little French, and I told the bartender, like, I was like, I'm kind of sorry, but I guess we think we're really funny. And he was like, you are funny. It's great. And he opened the doors because he wanted people to like see that we that how much fun was being had in this bar, and he thought we were going to attract more people, which made me just feel better about how obnoxious and
which we
how
did.
fun
We were a spectacle in this.
Yeah, a couple of
sleepy little
Americans
city.
and one actually speaks some French.
I mean, I think good traveling is like when you're in a dark corner and people are like, are they French? Are they American? Who knows? Like, they're so mysterious and amazing. We were not that. We were clearly Americans, but they were loving it. So
No.
there
My
you go.
favorite moment. So my husband is a musician. He plays piano, and my favorite moments. Some of my favorite moments when we were doing those like every other week wine tastings in Paso. We'd start to get people following us winery to winery. Like, that happened at least. Like the one time I remember really vividly, like the second or third winery we went to, Patrick like found a piano and started playing, and like was the on-site music, and we got all our tastings for free, and it was great because he's playing, he's having a great time, and he's playing like with a wink and a smile, like old timey kind of fun stuff, and it was great. Yes, ragtime goes over great in a wine tasting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so he just has a great time with it, and it was so much fun. But I remember thinking like, and he's happy, right? Because he doesn't have to like talk to people when he's behind the piano, and I'm happy because I'm talking to everyone. And I'm like, that's my husband, isn't he great? Which he is. Empirically great. But it was just so much fun because we would like have this following, and I remember thinking when I moved back to Madison, like, how am I going to find my wine people?
Oh,
Right?
Oh, is this
So
where
is
wine
that-
club
Yes.
comes in? Okay, tell us more about that.
So, but first I want to pour
Oh, yeah.
this deliciousness.
Let me
Next
finish
wine.
this.
Ooh.
Tell us about this last wine.
So this is actually, it's a Beaujolais Cru. This is my wine future, Côte de Brouilly. So Beaujolais Cru is something that I came to. It's again, another sort of story of like, I thought I knew what Beaujolais was. Turns out, no.
Oh,
And when I was working at Barrique's, we would have like the big Beaujolais launch every November. It was just like still a thing. And we'd decorate the store with the stupid Georges de Boeuf flags and the whole thing. And,
Oh, wow.
and that wine is not good, y'all. But
No, that's not good.
no, it is not. Don't drink cheap Beaujolais. But Beaujolais Cru is kind of mind-blowingly good. Made from Gamay, right? Part of the sort of Burgundy area. It's the thing that I love about Beaujolais Cru is that I never really know what to expect. Really, like the different Cru have such different characteristics. So. And my French is terrible, but like Melon-Avant, might have like way more floral characteristics, and like a Morgon might be more savory, for example. And to me, it's sort of like figuring out, like the first time we went to the Willamette, figuring out like, oh, Eola Amity Hills has more bramble fruit, and like Dundee and Yamhill Carlton are going to have like different like flavor characteristics. Just it's a generalization, but I find it useful. Mm-hmm. So the thing about Beaujolais Cru is that I am just sort of scratching the surface with it, and I love it. I tend to love wines that are high in acid. So I love like Muscadet. I love really crisp Sauvignon Blanc. I love just wines that are really bright. We were talking today on the podcast that I do, the Corner Table. About
I was waiting for you to plug it.
Bravado, yeah. So the Corner Table is really fun, and I just get to do what I want every week, and I love it. I just talk to food and wine people in Madison about what they do, and my friend Bob from Cork and Bottle comes on the podcast a lot to talk about wine, and we were talking about Sicilian Frappato today, and it's such bright, lovely fruit, high acid. These are wines that tend to go really well with food. Beaujolais Cru definitely fits into that. They're usually, slightly at least lower in alcohol, so they're not going to put me under the table super hard.
Further south. It's cool.
Yeah. And I just, I really love like, Nebbiolo that's like northern, like gorgeous, like Piedmont, like bright fruit.
Yep.
Nice tart cherry fruit. My friend Leah and I have these different kinds of Pinots that we like. And there's like Lindsay Pinot is fruit forward and bright and high acid. And Leah Pinot is like forest floor and earth and mushrooms and stuff. And so if you go into Square Wine Company in Madison, you can order a Lindsay Pinot or a Leah Pinot, and they will, Andrea and Emily both know
Knows what that means.
Yeah.
so don't take this wrong, but the first thing I thought of when I smelled this was my grandma's bathroom. And then I was like, was it the Colgate? She always had Colgate, which I think of as like cinnamony or
I
something.
say that. I get that.
But
Yeah,
I
it's definitely Colgate.
Colgate. And I also was like, was it Dial soap?
Yeah. That's my grandma's.
Are you
bathroom,
thinking of
too.
like the minty mentholiness of the Colgate?
Well, it's funny that you say grandma because when I smelled it, I smelled a wine that is grown up.
I smelled Grandpa.
I don't know.
But clean, but it's popping with, I think,
Probably
like a
mint or
potpourri.
cinnamon and
So usually I like get me to have a little bit more of a chill on it than this one does. It's a little bit warm.
Yeah.
I subscribe to the sort of 52 degree, you know, the whole like chill your wet reds a little bit in the summertime
Totally.
thing. But yeah, I feel like the things that I learn sort of the most about these kinds of wines come out as you said, out of my wine club. And I've had a bunch over the years, like
Wine clubs?
yeah. I'm a little extroverted.
Really?
Just a little. Like when I take those tests, the E just like eats all the other letters. Like it's really intense E.
Like Pac-Man and all the little ghosts.
Yeah. But so I've had lots of wine clubs. We had one we called the Bottleneck because the Isthmus in Madison is kind of shaped like a bottleneck, and we decided that was fun. And so we coached my friend Julia through her WSET Level 3, which is the
cool.
Wine Spirits Education Trust. I know you guys have probably talked about that already.
or twos.
But yeah, so Julia did 3 and then Emily did 3.
Yep.
And Joseph and I had talked about probably doing 3 in the future when we have time.
Yeah.
But so we'd like, it's a lot of drinking to get through WSET, as you know.
You need study buddies.
Yes, you have to have study buddies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just won't make it. So we
And
did
it's
Bottleneck.
just price-wise, you can't do it. You
Yeah.
need friends.
You have to have friends, yeah.
Yeah.
So we did those. But the one that I started when I was still working at Barrique's back in 2007 is, we named it Wasted because we were being funny. And I don't know that we had any thought that it would go for a very long time. But we decided that it stands for We All Should Taste Every Day.
Ah.
And last October, it celebrated 10 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's been 10 and a
How
half.
often do you guys get together?
Every month.
Really?
Yeah. Except for lately, in recent years, we've been skipping August because people are crazed in August.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about the wine club has just been it's gone. It's gone
That
from
is impressive.
big to little, back to big again. Like,
How many
How many-
people?
yeah. So at its smallest, like some of the smallest
It's
tastings
me,
we've had,
and
maybe
I'm sitting there
5 or 6.
drinking alone.
Yeah,
You and
me drinking
Patrick.
alone. We did discover, like, so early on, I figured out the whole thing with like Facebook events and like making them public or private.
Ooh.
That's important, turns out. Because if you say, I'm having wine in my house, like people just come. So, and we made some changes too, like especially after the recession. It used to be that the host would basically provide like all the food and choose the theme and provide like and some of it's still the same. So the host provides pregame because there's always people who straggle in, and it's usually me because I'm late to everything. So there's always pregame. So that's usually like a light bubbles, or like depending on the time of year, like it'll be like an iced tea or like some, it's usually bubbles. And then we get into the theme. And we like do usually between 8 and 10 bottles of the theme, but everybody brings a bottle, or each couple brings a bottle. And then we close it out and like close out the tasting. And then there's usually some post game too. So it's fun. We have fallen into some rhythms that have been really interesting because like it's been going, as I said, for like 10 and a half years. So like we always have a rosé tasting, and ours actually is tomorrow. And then we've done wine and music. So you bring
I love that.
you bring a song, and then you bring your wine, and we do like the wine, and you taste the wine and listen to the music. We've done wine and literature, where you like bring a passage from a book that you love, and you learn so much about your friends this way. It's so cool. You do wine and literature. We've done like wine and like barbecue. We've done wine from vacation, like wine from a turning point in your life or something like that. We've done, we did a couple of tastings where we like said, look at the back of the wine bottle and see what it says it tastes like and bring that stuff.
Oh,
That's a good
taste with it?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like a classic Gary Vaynerchuk thing. If you guys have ever seen Gary Vaynerchuk, he is awesome. He was a very formative sort of YouTube star for a long time, doing wine tasting on the interwebs. So this is the Thunder Show. I can still do Gary Vaynerchuk, but he did this whole thing where he like just tasted a ton of things just to like train his palate. And he did it like on YouTube. It's really fun. So we've done that. We've done just a bunch of, we do like varietal tastings where it's like, we're going to do anything but Chardonnay from whites from California. We're going to do wines from the Loire, wines from Germany and Austria, wines from, we've learned that being where we are, we can't do every region the way that we would like to. So when we did South Africa, my friend Julia placed an order.
From South Africa?
From a distributor that worked in South Africa.
Killed to be in that room.
Yeah, it was really fun. But she had worked in South Africa. She'd done like some internships and stuff with wineries there. And so she had some connections. And so she found a distributor in Madison and worked through them. And it's really fun. We have a lot of different foci.
Well, like you said, it's kind of similar ethos to why we started this is you're focusing each week or 2 weeks or whenever you can get together on here is Cab Franc, and here's where Cab Franc comes. And it even goes back to when you were pouring at Barriques. Syrah, okay, well, you got France, and then you got Australia and California, and here's how it can be representative of those regions with the same grape. And it's a great way to taste the world, right? So that's really cool.
And then you'll think at the end of that, you know something, and then you don't.
And then you don't. One of my favorite wine tastings, actually. So there are certain tastings over the years that have stood out. And one of them was a 12-bottle blind Syrah tasting where we did 4 from France, 4 from California, essentially, and 4 from Australia. And everybody got the yellowtail and was like, holy nope, this is disgusting. Everybody got the yellowtail right away. What people didn't get was a Charles Shaw. Did not get it.
The 07 vintage? Because it's right there.
It's right there.
The Cycles Gladiator did fairly well. But there were some Syrahs, some of the highest end Syrahs needed more time to open up.
Sure, for sure.
And so they didn't taste well. They didn't show well, which, because you don't know, you're going totally blind. Then there was one, I think we actually threw a Shot Nif de Pop in there that was actually Grenache forward.
Sure.
So it didn't mess with everybody. And my husband, of course, like his favorite Syrah was like this T-Vine $50-some thing from like Napa. And I was like, of course you like the most expensive thing best. Couldn't we discover that we love $12 wine? Couldn't we discover? No.
That is the problem.
It is a problem.
I can walk into any room and pick out the most expensive furniture.
Yeah. I've seen you do it.
She wants like a $700 armchair.
Yeah.
No, it's like a $1,200 armchair.
Thank you.
I wish it was only $700. We're not going to buy it, but I'm going to probably go back to the store and sit in it.
Just hang out.
Look at it.
So you said Beaujolais is your future.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because I don't know enough about it.
Oh.
And because it's delicious. And because I feel like it's representative of all the things I don't know yet. All the things that I thought I knew, but I didn't turn out to know.
Well, and it's so diverse.
Yeah. Well, and these are beautiful wines. They're beautiful wines. But they're also in a price point that I think is going to be consistently accessible to me. This is a $23 wine. And there's a lot of Beaujolais Cru that's more than this. But there are certain wines now on wine lists that I seek out, and this is one of them.
Beaujolais seem like they're consistently good quality. And
The Cru are.
The Cru are. I was burned recently. I was like, I'm going to try out the new Total Wine and More on the West Side because it's a wine fun house.
It's a Costco of wine.
And I got a Beaujolais Cru there, or no, maybe just a Beaujolais. I think maybe Beaujolais Cru, and they got like it was a bunch of all this one producer, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll stop at my friend Joseph's on the way home. We'll have some of this wine. It'll be fun. And I stopped and we opened it, and I was like, this is terrible. I'm so sorry. Like I didn't realize. And I was like, can I leave this with you? And he said, yeah, so long as you don't ask any more questions about what happened to it. This wine is going to go to a nice farm upstate.
We may have the same bottle left in our fridge from a week ago.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can burn you.
They had a big Beaujolais section. I'm like, awesome.
Oh.
Same.
Yeah.
And then I grabbed a couple.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, this is not what I wanted at all.
None of them were good?
Well, I only got like 1 or 2.
So can I just put this out there? I have no problem admitting that sometimes I drink the Sutter Home singles. It's been a while, But I like the fancy stuff from California, from France, wherever. And every once in a while, Sutter home, no problem. But this bottle in the fridge, like even I didn't want it.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sure it's the same thing because they didn't have. They had like a lot of Beaujolais, but then like I noticed that like a bunch of it was from the same producer, like or the same, yeah. And so, but here's the thing about that too, like wine hacks, right? Yeah. Okay, so you're in a place and you're like, wow, the wine here is gross, and I don't want to drink any of that. But like all they've got is Prairie Fumé. That's all they got. So what you do is you get like a kind of maybe on the sweeter side and white if you have to, whatever. It's going to be lower in alcohol. You put that stuff with some ice and some soda water and you make a little spritz and everything is fine for you. Yes. If you've got citrus, you're in business. You could drink that stuff all day.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
That's true. That is a hack.
Maybe we should make it into sangria.
It works at the Crystal Corner in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
In case you ever happen to be at the Crystal Corner in Madison, Wisconsin, it works there.
Might happen in our future. So.
I do spritzers when I'm on diet wine.
I feel you.
I mean, you can drink twice as much for the same calories or the same amount for half the calories.
Exactly.
However you want to look at it. Sometimes you have to do that when you're somebody who drinks all the time. You got to like scale that shit back. And yeah, I find that a spritzer in the summer...
No big deal.
No big. And that is when I like my cougar juice. I like...
Oh, I learned what this is recently.
That's what I want, my oaky shard with some spritzy
and I was
water.
Like, I wonder what this actually... Because I know what a cougar is. But like metaphorically, whatever, like in slang.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we heard this term out in California from multiple sources. And as soon as they
Porch pounders.
Yeah, and as soon as they said cougar juice, I was like, oh, I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, you do. The thing is, I think about what you guys are doing and about like what the wine club does is you're sort of pushing yourself on a regular basis to expand your palate, right? To learn about things you thought you knew already. One of the things that's also interesting about my wine group is that a lot of the stuff they say will end up in the paper because I'm a journalist and I'm writing about this. So, and I want to write about wine for a specific audience. Wine distribution is so crazy and chaotic. It's hard to like say, you should go out right now and get X wine.
Yeah,
right.
You can't do it.
You can't do it, right? You can't make those kinds of specific recommendations, right? So I write about wine for a specifically local audience, right? And I say, this is where we got it. We got it at Cork and Bottle. We got it at Table Wine. We got it at, Square Wine Company, whatever. And I think when we talk about that bad Beaujolais that we both got at the wine warehouse, the key there is that it's not about the relationship with your local wine shop, which you guys talk about a lot, which I talk about a lot, because it is essential. Like if you're gonna keep learning about wine and you're gonna keep getting stuff that you're gonna love, having that relationship with your local wine vendor is gonna be key. And that's why I love that they know what a Lindsay Pinot is.
And
I was just gonna say that. You can walk into a store and say, hey, I don't know you, but I heard I want a Lindsay Pinot. Like they're gonna be able to fulfill your wishes and dreams. And that's what you want in life, right?
I used to tell people when I was working at selling wine, I'd be like, okay, so I've listened to, I would say like, how do you take your coffee? Or like, what did you most like recently? Like, reds, whites, tell me, like trying to find out like, how much acid do you like? How much rich fruit do you like? Are you like, where are you going to be? And I would often say like, try that. Like, especially if it's more expensive, I was like, try it. If you hate this, bring it back. Bring it back. I will be here. Right? Like, cause I'm gonna be here. And like, and I also, at that point, I think I felt very empowered to like, I can fix this for you. Like I can give you something else you're gonna love.
Yeah.
And there are certain people, and I'm sure any wine shop owner will tell you this, there's certain people who are gonna bring pretty much everything back. Right.
It turns out
but
you don't like wine.
Most people don't. Most people don't. If you're willing to sort of stake your reputation on it, if it's something you've tasted and you love, and you have a good sense of what they might like, just say, if this doesn't work, bring it back.
And I think people want to like the wine. They want to. They lean towards wanting to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're banking on that.
Restaurant critics want to like the restaurant. Right. We all do. Yeah. I don't want to go out and have bad meals. I don't get any joy out of panning a restaurant, but like, sometimes that's what it requires. That's what the job is. My friends like to say they either get like a great meal or a good story.
Right. So I would love to talk to you about this a little bit because I travel a lot. I have, a billion restaurants in a month. So I've thought about actually doing a little bit of a little bit more reviewing of stuff like that.
Like a Yelp, Twitter.
Yeah. So what is it that how do you approach even thinking about, okay, I'm going to have this meal. I'm going to design a article. Like what goes through your mind in the process?
So first of all, there are standards, right, for like culinary professionals who are like writing about restaurants. So you always make at least 2 to 3 visits.
Really?
Yes. Always 2 to 3.
Guess what's not going to happen for me?
Yeah, I know, right? So that's one thing. You try to be as anonymous as possible. Now, the internet is a thing. So I don't hide my face.
Oh, you don't have
I don't go in
You don't have
disguise.
you don't have a fake mustache and a
But
monocle.
I would never, for example, make a reservation in my own name. That's not, if I'm reviewing.
Do you ever make them in fake names?
Of course.
Janice Filippelli.
It's that one.
Mind blown right now.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And then but you always want to go with multiple folks, so you can try a lot of different things. And then I have techniques for how it works. Going out to eat for a restaurant review is very different than going out to eat for fun. At least it is for me because I'm working.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is you want to try a variety of proteins, a variety of preparations. You can't really be afraid of anything or not eat anything. Although there are restaurants conceptually that you think, what was anyone thinking? No one was thinking when they put this menu together. But you want to be able to like chicken, beef, pork, fish, vegetarian. You want to try a lot of different things. You want to give the restaurant every opportunity to succeed.
Sure.
I never go sooner than a month. So they've always been open at least a month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I will forgive some things that regular diners would not necessarily forgive, in part because I know that I'm putting it into print.
Yeah.
If I reviewed a restaurant recently where the service was so incredibly bad, so consistently.
Was it here tonight?
It was here
2 to 3 times. 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
right now. But there have been places where and especially if a place is on the bubble for me where I'm like, wow, I think I'm gonna have to really pan this place. I'll go back a 3rd and 4th time. I'll keep going back just to make sure.
No,
because
they are really bad at making food for people.
well, because you don't want to do that lightly, because
Sure.
I still believe that the work that I do and the work that other professional restaurant critics do is important, and it's different than a Yelp review. It carries more
There's a
weight.
weight,
At least
yeah.
I hope so.
Power to it.
absolutely.
And so I take it very seriously, and you don't want to my friend came home from a restaurant recently that we were reviewing, and she's like, I just want to let you know I got sick when I got home. I was ill. And I think that maybe a Yelper would write that. I'm
Right.
not going to write that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know
Just
what else
put it
she
on a
had that day.
podcast.
Yeah, well, right. I'm not telling you the restaurant.
Yeah. P.F. Chang's.
Was it here tonight?
Well,
She's doing a local review for P.F. Chang's.
I freaking love that Mushu pork, y'all. It's real good.
You know what else is good at P.F. Chang's? Is the lettuce wraps.
Yes.
Oh, you're
Those
The
are
lettuce
So
wraps
good.
are
I
killer.
love those lettuce wraps.
Yeah.
Gosh, I haven't had those in years.
Maybe we should just go.
Does Madison have a PM Chang?
Yeah.
In Middleton.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, in Middleton.
I should have known
It's
that.
right next to Costco.
It's by the Quaker Steak and Lube.
Oh, yeah. I feel like my husband calls that something else.
I'm sure.
I bet he does.
I'm sorry I cut you off from
Quaker Lube and
very-
Shake.
worthwhile and
Yeah.
Quaker Steak and Shake. Is that what you said?
I said Quaker Lube and Shake.
Oh,
But
Quaker
I
shake
love
weight.
that you
You
go
just
to the
had to change
places
it around.
more than just once.
Oh, yeah, you
Right.
have to.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, because sometimes you have horrible service and amazing food. And then you go back and you have horrible food and amazing service. And then you go back again and they hit everything right or everything wrong. And it's like,
and that's my thing with Yelp is most people who give a Yelp review only do it when when they dislike it.
Sure.
Like when you love a place, you don't take the time to write a review while you're driving back. But if you had bad service, 1 star, blah blah blah. It's like it's not weighted in a realistic way. So when you go 2-3 times to a place, you get a better picture of the reality of the
Yelp
restaurant.
cares a lot more about service than it does about food.
Yeah, absolutely.
that makes sense. And Sometimes actually, so when I'm having writer's block, I will just do like a flurry of Yelp reviews. Like, where have I eaten in the past like 3 months? And I have it all cataloged and I'll be like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So I'll do like positive, mediocre, and negative, like all in one shot. Cause it's just to get like
Your juice is flowing.
my juice is flowing. Yeah. But like sometimes I've been to places multiple times and it's just like, I asked 3 times for like water and like a half an hour went by and I still didn't have water. And like, this is kind of.
That's my
Oh my God.
That's my restaurant pet peeve. I will lose it.
Yeah.
You will
like,
lose it.
I know
put a
we're-
drink in front of me, like just pacify me. Like,
I know we've gone on a long tangent here, but we went on last year for their birthday. We all went to Jamaica, and the last night we went to the air quotes fancy restaurant,
That's right.
and it was like a 2.5 hour ordeal. And I started taking notes after about 15 minutes.
It was an ordeal.
Do you still have the notes?
Let me find them. I'll see if I can. I don't know if I can.
I
Find,
think you're really gonna like these notes.
The way that I take notes actually is I have
Because
like
you
my
can't
husband,
sit there like.
No. So although the advent of the smartphone was amazing,
Yeah, you could
like
just
when
talk
that
with it.
happened. So like, because I was reviewing a little bit before then, but then like, and I would just sort of like try to hide things. But now, if I'm taking pictures of my food with my phone,
That's just normal.
or I'm like taking notes on my phone, it's totally like a
Right.
thing that everybody does.
I'm just on my phone.
But usually, what we do is we have a concealed audio recorder. So
that's a good way to do it.
Like if my
His
husband,
name's Ralph.
if my husband has a shirt with pockets. It works out great.
So you're just talking about the food.
Yeah, and we're like,
recording your
and
reaction.
now we're talking very deliberately about the food that we have just consumed.
And we're back.
And we're back. And it's hilarious because like the next day or like 2 days later or whatever, I'm like listening to it to like, and usually I don't have to, but like it's there in case I need it because specifics are essential. I had a restaurateur call me once screaming because I said that the fries were straight or curly and not straight, I think. I like got the shape of the fry wrong, and he decided that was proof enough that I had not attended the restaurant, like gone to the restaurant at all.
Oh,
Wow.
And like, I mean, there are stories. There was the one time I got pasta primavera, and it had no vegetable. It had like tomatoes, and that was it. And I was like,
No pasta?
no, it had pasta
Oh.
and tomatoes. And I was like, there's like 5 other vegetables
Yeah,
on the
where's,
menu.
like,
Like,
the
where's the
asparagus?
primavera part? And I asked the waitress, and she's like, oh, let me go check. And she like went back to the kitchen to check. And she's like, he forgot. Not, can I take this for you? Can I get you something else? Whatever. But no, he just forgot the primary ingredients in your food.
Oh, great. So can I just like forget to pay like this portion of my
Wow.
bill?
So I found my notes. So we went to Jamaica for Ann and Jason's birthday. And this is kind of long, so I'll try to do,
Last
high
year.
level.
Last year.
It's called Weeby 40.
And this was
It's like UB40.
so
But
That's charming.
yeah.
March 12th, 2017 at 12:12 a.m. So our dinner finished
At midnight.
at past midnight. And we probably got there at 9.
I'm usually fine with that, but keep going.
Final restaurant of the vacation. For the 7 of us, the table had 8 glasses, 7 plates, and 6 chairs.
Did one of you stand?
For a while.
Yes.
This is the first paragraph. I have many paragraphs.
Why? Why were you standing? What? No.
It's at a resort in Jamaica.
Our plates,
You're
swim-up
giving them lots of.
yeah, essentially.
Swim up.
Our plates have sunken subsections. Surely these must be part of a spectacular dish that is deployed later in the evening. The table is abuzz with theories of what this could be. About 10 minutes have passed. 3 of us were poured water. 6 minutes later, we all have water. Still no one has come to take our order. I asked for the wine menu. One comes, but the waiter disappears for 4 minutes. 23 minutes in, and our neighboring table is served coffee. They look happy to be nearing the end of this journey called Don Pablo's Fine French Restaurant.
Run.
Don
Pablo.
Pablo's Fine
French
French.
Run away.
Ron Howard's.
Get
Fine
out while you
Fresh.
can. Now is the time. Just move along. Get up. Stand up.
It's
get
funny
out.
because I heard these notes later, but I think, drinking enough all day long.
Where
But I was like,
It's like,
basically, I
whatever.
was unaware that I was in a chair for 3
Jamaica.
hours with terrible food and no wine. I was like, I was having a great time.
34 minutes in, napkins are tossed into our laps unannounced.
Whoa! Stay away from my lap unannounced.
Mine has what seems to be stained with pesto.
Ew.
A different waiter comes to double check on the 2 bottles of wine I ordered 20 minutes ago. 6 minutes later, the white wines arrive. The waiter forgot the wine key, and it must have been located 2 towns over.
He's making one.
It's a screw off.
He's making one out of...
That can be the only feasible explanation as to why he disappeared for 7 more minutes after dropping off the wine.
You're timing this really specifically, sir.
Yep.
This is very Scott. You're getting good Scott right now.
This is Scott.
We're peak Scott.
Peak Scott right now.
The
Not
appetizer...
saying a word at the table.
Taking notes.
Taking notes.
The appetizer is actually quite nice. Chicken and fried phyllo dough with honey mustard and sprouts. 49 minutes in, after being seated, the white wine is finally free from the oppression of the cork. No longer will that cork hold back the beauty that is hidden behind it. We toast to the ledge. Oh, we have to talk about... So we all hung out in the pool.
Yeah, so like we were supposed to do all of these fun excursions being on a tropical island, but there were so many people that never get to see each other that we literally sat on the ledge of a pool and just hung out and drank all vacation.
For like 7 days. We just ledged.
Yeah, we did not
We
leave.
just sat on a pool ledge and drank.
We're ledging.
The only time that we left was to go to
This restaurant for 3 hours.
no, it was to go to an actual Jamaican restaurant.
Yeah, that's
at
true. That's
Scotchy's,
true.
but whatever.
We toast to the ledge. Viva la ledge! As a note, this is the soberest 49 minutes of our trip. Jason's red wine is nowhere to be seen. We begin mourning the loss of the elusive House Red. Quote from Anne. Do we need to tell him when our flight leaves?
Oh, and that's funny.
So that's at like 9 o'clock. This goes on till 12, whatever. But that
Seriously, but like while you're going to wine tasting, take notes. It's fun.
Yeah.
My notes, like as I go through the day.
Notebook, everybody.
Yeah, okay. So this is how I like process information in my life.
Can I just ask, do you use a very specific notebook? Like, is it a moleskin notebook every single time?
So I bought this in an airport. But this is my wine notebook. And I bought it, I think before the Oregon. No. So this one is from the 2016. This is my more recent notebook. So this is from the 2016 trip to California.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went again in June 2017. Well, anyway, but like I have things in here, like I'll write in all caps, "We are eating food." Because like after a minute, like your tasting notes get a little bit
loose.
different. Because you've been drinking all day.
right? It does affect things.
But like at one point, like so my dear beloved friend Leah, she was adopted. We were both adopted as babies. And so, but she had been given a name before she was adopted into her, current family, her family. And I wrote it down somewhere. I was like, Leah's name used to be this. And like in the middle of my wine notes, because why not?
It occurred to me.
Yeah, here it is. We are eating food.
We are eating food.
In all capital
There it
letters.
is. 2014 Grenache, $34.
But it's like, I'm taking notes on what everybody is saying. Like, Leah wishes she had popcorn.
Oh,
Like, whatever. Silly stuff.
11 p.m. The group
Wow.
contemplates skipping out on them after the mains are served. Silverware is placed at the table, and Angela worries she doesn't have time to visit the restroom before the main. I'm pretty sure you have time, Lisa laughs.
So at various points in there, like I am standing up and like walking up to the bar, like, "Hi, yeah, great, thank you everybody so much. So it's been a minute. Can I get the wine? Like I will like extrovert it.
Lindsay is not having it.
I don't do that on
We
the
need
job.
one of you in our group.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Yeah.
I do it like in life though.
Yeah.
In life, I
getting to
have
that
no
point
effing, like,
where
yeah.
I don't give a shit. And I'm just like, you know what? I've been here 20 minutes. I ordered wine 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, no. So it's been a second. So I would just like I can take care of it myself. Actually, I'm fairly
It's right there.
Sitting on the bar.
I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
We did this 2 weekends ago, restaurant not named, in Madison. The 4 of us went out.
P.F. Chang's.
Ordered water. Took a good long time. You got a coffee?
Oh, and I asked, it was a hot day, and I said, could I get this coffee
Oh, this is funny.
iced? And she had to say, I need to ask the manager if we can do that.
It must have been her first.
Like, you
Day.
take a glass of ice, the coffee that I ordered, you pour it over the ice and you cool it down because it's hot as fuck. I just want cold coffee and
But we had to-
energy.
Then we left.
Yeah.
And then we asked for the bill, actually, which never came. So we just threw cash down and
Yeah.
left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
we
so
had to
bad.
like find cash to put it down
Yeah.
so we could just
I
leave.
think what's sad is that like I have like 4 places in my brain right now that could be.
Well, we'll tell you after we're done.
Yeah.
Rolling.
Off the record.
And
Sorry,
the
Madison.
funny part was I didn't tell anybody this was I saw the waitress as we were walking out like come like
Freak out.
yeah
Yeah.
hey, threw all the cash down.
been a half
I have
hour.
no idea how much the bill is, and I'm sure I left you more than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's a big giant idea.
I knew she made at least more than
Yeah.
what the bill was.
So I take occasional. So we have these different wine groups, and there's like Wasted, and there's like for a while there was like Wasted Prime, which is like all the people in
It
Wasted.
costs $120 a year.
You get free shipping though.
So we would like having like dinner parties with like people stuff from people's cellars, like really intense, like cool wines. But I took notes at like one of the bottlenecks, and I said, and like I take notes during those too. And my friend Joseph was like, "I'm not mansplaining gooseberries," and I wrote it down because
But I still want to know what gooseberries are.
I literally almost spit out my drink
Daddy,
here.
I want a gooseberry. I want a gooseberry now.
I'm not mansplaining goose.
Well, I don't think we can top that.
Yeah, we really
So, Lindsay, thank you so much for coming and sharing all these wines with us and chatting with us. This has been great.
I love
you.
hearing about how your brain works and what you do, and coolest job ever.
thank you.
If our listeners would like to follow you on the Instagrams or the Twitters or the if you have an I don't know
Podcast.
a GeoCities website.
my MySpace, yeah, my Friendster. So I am at Lindsay C608 generally on things. Lindsay C608 I think is my Twitter and my Instagram, and then like the Corner Table. It's just Corner Table Podcast on Facebook. I should probably have more social media around that, but I don't because it's just kind of my little passion project. Talking to cool people. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Katie Wire, who is this lovely chef who's doing some work out in Spring Green. And sort of like doing farm to table in a rural community. I always find that really interesting. So I try to talk to really fun people for the podcast, and it's like 20 minutes. Each episode is really fun. So,
Cool.
but yeah, capital times.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's been Wine Wars for this week. Until next time, please remember,
It's
just
grape juice.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wine Wars.